repeal Obamacare, that's true, but I also want to reform the cost side.
Let's also talk about immigration. You last night called yourself a hardliner on immigration.
Right.
I think you just did also just a few minutes ago. What does that mean to you, a hardliner on immigration?
So when we talk illegal immigration, and I want to separate immigration from illegal immigration, this country is the story of immigration. We're all a nation of immigrants, and certainly one of the things that we need to do in the reform of immigration is to make the process for which someone can come to the United States better. We need to reform the process in which students come to the United States, workers come, and how someone can be granted citizenship. But when I say hardline on illegal immigration, I'm talking about actual border security with a physical fence, more border guard agents, not what they're doing now with this virtual technology. I also mean, as I did in the State House when I filed the Perry Amendment, which it's known as, I want to file that in Washington to say that no illegal immigrant in the United States should get access to any of our social entitlement benefits, whether that be welfare, housing, unemployment, workers' compensation, higher education. And we also need to take a hard line on employers. There's employers in this country who are taking advantage of illegal immigrant labor, and that is something that isn't being enforced, and the laws aren't strong enough to punish employers who repeatedly take advantages of illegal immigrants. And so when I say hardline, that's what I mean.
Jeff Perry, we have a caller who has two questions for you
Right.
related to other sort of hot-button issues for conservatives. This is Charles from Dorchester. And Charles, what are the two issues you want to ask Jeff Perry about?
Yes, hi. I'd like to know how you would vote if Don't Ask, Don't Tell came to Congress if you were a sitting member, and how you would vote, whether you would vote to support, to repeal DOMA.
That being the Defense of Marriage Act.
Exactly.
Great, and that's on the first part of it, Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I personally support the policy of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. However, I'm waiting for the study. There's a study being conducted right now where the military commanders, the folks in the field, our military generals, if you will, are being asked for their policies. I think it's appropriate, as things change, to take a look at that policy, but I don't think it's appropriate for members of Congress to interject while that study's going on. Personally, I think it works. It seems to have worked for decades. President Clinton supported it. President Bush has supported it. I believe President Obama has indicated he doesn't, but I want to read the study first. But personally, I think it's a policy that works and one that we should continue. And the second question was the Defense of Marriage Act signed by President Clinton. I think we need to take a look at that. I'm a states' rights guy. I think each state should be able to set the definition of marriage, but when it comes to federal benefits, it's a discussion that the country should have about what the policy of the United States should be.
Jeff Perry, these issues, the views you're outlining are for a place like Massachusetts considered quite conservative. And last night, yesterday, WBUR reporter Fred Tice was out in your district talking to voters.
Okay.
In Hingham, he spoke to a man named Joseph Kaminsky who voted for you. Here's what Kaminsky said.
I believe in small government, and I would certainly hope that we can get people into Congress who are going to reverse whatever's been going on there, even the Republicans who have been very bad.
Now, Jeff Perry, Kaminsky also described you, in his view, as a Tea Party candidate. Would you describe yourself as a Tea Party candidate?
I think many of the motivating issues that have spurred the Tea Party movement I am in line with, whether it be the issues of illegal immigration, whether it be the issues of the federal takeover of our healthcare system, or whether it be the overspending, the national debt, almost $14 trillion. When I go to Tea Party meetings and speak before them, and there's three active Tea Party groups in this district, one in Quincy, one in Pembroke, known as Plymouth Rock, and one on the Cape, the people that I see there, they're good Americans, they're concerned about the future of their country, and the same values that they talk about at their meetings are many of the same things I talk about in the campaign. So I am happy to have the support of people who call themselves Tea Party patriots.
Jeff Perry, you obviously took a lot of heat during the primary for your supervisory role over an officer under your command who conducted illegal strip searches of teenage girls, which we mentioned earlier. Now, Republican voters seem not to have held that against you. But here's your new Democratic opponent, Bill Keating, last night.
And to my opponent, Jeff Perry, I've got a question for you. Mr. Perry, you stood 5 steps away as your partner in the force sexually assaulted a young girl. Well, Mr. Perry, if you couldn't see something so despicable happening right under your nose, how on earth can we depend on you to see what's going on in Washington?
Now, Jeff Perry, Keating has also said that he's going to, quote, hold you accountable. And you said you knew this was coming. So what's your response to Keating?
Well, my response is it's very sad and disappointing that my opponent would use his victory speech to start throwing mud at me already. Your opportunity on election night is to, one, obviously thank your supporters and to reflect on the campaign. But I think more important than that, it's an opportunity for you to send a message to the people who are listening, the voters who may have not been with you in the primary or the members of the other party. It's an opportunity to send them a message to say, what's your campaign all about? So what did I do? I talked about the issues that I want to work in Congress. I talked about my values. I talked about things that I would support as a member of Congress. And I certainly am not going to use my victory speech or the opportunity to talk to the voters on national media to throw mud at an opponent. Now, you're right. My primary opponent made it the central point of his campaign. He did mailings, he did radio ads, every chance he got to talk to the media, he tried to do this guilt by association thing. That wasn't new for me. When I ran for office the first time in 2002, I was a challenger to a Democratic incumbent. In fact, I'm the last Republican to beat a Democratic incumbent, and the same tactic was used. It didn't work in 2002. It didn't work in the Republican primary. I've won 5 elections in a row with folks trying to throw mud at me. I'm a very positive, optimistic person. I'm going to stay true to my values and talk about the issues. And I think if Mr. Keating decides to make this a negative campaign, he's going to do it at his own peril and have the same result on Election Day that others who have tried.
Jeff Perry is a state representative and the Republican candidate for the 10th Congressional District.